This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City look for their first road win of the season as they take on Atlanta United. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
Here we are.
There he is. Matty, we are where we are here for this game. Do I sound all right?
You sound just perfect,
okay. Where we are, this Mercedes Benz Stadium, you could claim that the seminal moment in New York City FC history was right here. And the date was October the 20th, 2021. New York City entered this game at Atlanta winless in 9 games. And in the 90th minute, trailing 1-0, Gudmundur Goody Toraransson, the Icelandic international, scores on a free kick, beats Brad Guzan to the near post side. Wonderful take. So it's 1-1, and now it's still 10 without a win. However, the weight lifted off the shoulders of these players, and not a single defeat the rest of the way en route to the MLS Cup Championship. And then if you compare it to the present, New York City playing Atlanta here on a Wednesday, I almost said Saturday, on a Wednesday night, 9 games without a win in Major League Soccer play. So I ask you, is there magic in the Benz air again tonight for New York City? That'll be the question.
Well, I certainly hope so. The proof will be right out there in 90 minutes time, or 90 minutes plus 51 that we've got, so 141 minutes time. You would like to think so, that's for certain, but I'd like to think so in probably 6 or 7 of the previous 9 games where there's not been a win in MLS play, 10 games in all competitions. You look down at the starting lineups and boy, is this a time to be playing Atlanta United without the front 4 that played against NYCFC in the first game of this matchup that was only, just over 2 months ago on April the 8th when it was 1-1. Right. So there's no Almada, there's no Arujo, there's no Derek Etienne Jr., there's no Giamakis. So, if you're going to play Atlanta United, you better play, or you may as well play them tonight. But we mustn't forget either what's been taken away from NYCFC. It's almost 2 reserve sides here. It's not quite, but it's not far off. I think I did the maths, and it's something like there's only 10 of the outfield players.
Yeah, your calculation is...
There's only 3 outfield players playing for NYCFC that played in that first game. There's only 5 outfield players that played for Atlanta United in that first game. So there's only 10 overall. Both goalkeepers, Guzan, and we assume Barraza as well, are available tonight. And the outfield players, it's not the same.
Well, they're in the 11 in the official lineup offerings. I think we can show you that. And Matt's describing both sides here for New York City. You see Turnbull on the right. It looks like a back 3 again, or a back 5, depending on how you want to calculate it. Tavon Gray is in for James Sands, away on international duty. Richie Ledesma comes in for Tylus Magno. And then for Atlanta, Matty went through it a little bit. You're not going to see a lot of the regular attacking players. And you see Caleb Wiley, who's playing on the left side as a wing when he performed for the U20 national team. He was a left back. We've seen him at left back also for Atlanta United. Matty, let's take some time to review the last game for New York City. And you look at that match, very similar, in fact, to the one I described, Gudmundur Toraransson getting the late equalizer to just kind of lift the load and maybe provide some sense of relief during a really particular poor spell. And that was the last game against Columbus. And in the 4th minute of second half stoppage time, you had this, as you and I described on the New York City FC network.
Parks to Siegel, back to goal. They're 30 yards away. Ledesma square, ball deflected. Here's Siegel with the shot and an equalizer. Gabe Siegel. It deflects off Farsi and New York City. And Gabe Siegel with his second career goal, and both have come late in the game. This one in the 4th minute of stoppage time, which could well give New York City a home point. It's 1-1 at Yankee Stadium.
And credit Keaton Parks as well for awareness. He was in an offside position, so he stepped away from the ball. So he wasn't interfering with play, because Gabe Siegel plays the ball into Ledesma. Ledesma's actually trying to play it wide to the right-hand side. It takes a massive deflection off of Russell Rowe into the path of Gabe Siegel.
And there you have it. And that goal, the second of his career, as we described, gave New York City the point. They sit in 11th place with a record of 4-7-7. Atlanta comes in the 6th position, 7-4-7. And, Atlanta United, they're coming off the 3-1 win against DC United. In fact, they've got a decent run of games without a loss. So it's and before we leave Gabe Siegel, I want you to hear all this, Matty, and I want our viewers and listeners to as well. Well, first of all, I'm going to have him describe his goal celebration, because I gave him a little bit of flack. When he scored in Orlando, I said, "Where's the celebration?" Because I had seen a Stanford goal, which you sent to me, where he did like a little jig, or he did something. I mean, it was a celebration. Against Orlando, I don't know. I said you can't act surprised when you score a goal. But anyway, this was our discussion after training on Thursday.
Parks to Siegel, back to goal.
Actually, this is our conversation after practice.
I cover the 1 on my shorts so that it shows a 9, and that's kind of, for me, been throughout my whole life just to get here. It's there's been a lot of people that doubted, like, if I could make it at this position, maybe my height or whatever it is coming from college. The odds are definitely stacked against you with that type of route, and feel like I've been able to push through that and show that I belong, or I'm trying to show that I belong at this level. But and self-doubt too. Throughout your journey, you have doubt yourself. So covering the 1 on my shorts is kind of a reminder to everybody else and myself, like I'm a 9. I'm a 9. I'm here to stay. And then the holding up my wrist, it was looking at a watch. I guess the bigger picture of it is I've always been very obsessed with enjoying every moment you have in life. I think time is such a precious thing, and I always remind myself that you need to make the most of it, and whether that be personal goals, spending it with the people you love, friends, family, whatever it is, time is very important to me. So that I thought about that before, but then also I felt like it kind of fit, given that I scored in the 94th.
Very late.
Yeah,
that time
very late
too.
For the second time. For me, I like that celebration a lot. It is more, as I said, more meaningful than people probably realized. So you may see that a few more times, hopefully.
He started that by saying he got a lot of text messages saying your celebration is lame. I wasn't the only one, but he said there's more to it, and you didn't see it, and it was pretty. I love the covering the 1 and showing the 9.
Absolutely. Look, I think without the explanation, it does look extremely lame. If that's other people saying it, not me saying it.
I didn't use
that
that word.
But it's
either.
Extremely meaningful for him as a human being, not just as a sportsman. It's a bit of human being aspect, and it's a bit of sportsman aspect as well, and I like that. We do, and I think I'm somebody who could probably heed what he's saying there. Enjoy every minute, enjoy every moment, because it's not finite. Unfortunately, we only have a certain amount of time here, so enjoy every single second. And I like the allusion between, or the contrast between the humanity of it, but also the fact of the timing within the game as well. So I like that little contrast. I really do, and I think when you listen to Gabe Siegel speaking there, I can't think there's anybody out there on the planet with a slight bit of empathy and who can't be rooting for that guy every second of the way. Another time, a little time analogy as well. Every second, I want that kid to do well because he's thought about it, and he's a thinking man's footballer.
He's out of Stanford, and he went to Cone 2, played for them, and made his way to New York City as a possible 2 player, and then because of the striker situation, he's been on the first team with a couple of goals now. He is not in the starting 11, so some will wonder. Well, I tweeted this out, and there's one more thing I'm going to play from Nick Cushing, which is a great story regarding how Siegel approached him after practice one day, but getting a lot of response from people saying, give him a chance, or they're saying, boy,
yes,
greater appreciation of Gabe Siegel because he is so thoughtful. Like you said.
Absolutely. First, you don't get to Stanford by fluke. I know you're part of the soccer team, and I'm sure he's on a scholarship certainly for a part of the time, but even still, going to a school like that, it's not just about athletics. Certainly, even when I went to college over here, it was you were 50% an athlete, 50% a student, 100% a student athlete. So people like himself.
Well put, Matty. Yeah. Is that what you told your parents?
Absolutely. I didn't mention the bar or the fake ID at all. If there's any policemen watching, that can't be proven.
Well, look, his freshman year, he didn't start a single match, and that was part of the description, as Nick Cushing describes, a meeting between the two, and here's Nick also after training on Thursday.
He waited for me on Friday. I have a really good relationship with all my players, and I think for me, I say to them all the time, the door is always open. You want to come speak. If you're frustrated you're not in the team, or you think some of the feedback in the meeting rooms is unjust, or you think you're not gaining enough positive recognition, come speak, because in this job there is so much to focus on. Sometimes there are little things that get missed, and he'd not started a game since the Cincinnati game. I didn't put him in when we needed a goal maybe in the past, and he literally just said to me, can I stay behind the meet? I actually had a meeting. He waited for an hour and a half, and he was still there. He says to me, I just want to say to you, when I was in college, the coach never played me, he said to me, and I respect the decisions. He said, I understand there's a lot to balance and there's a lot of moving parts in picking a team, but he said, I just want to assure you, the coach used to put me in for 10 minutes every game, and I led the team in goals. So put me in. I promise you I will score you goals. And I said, listen, I fully believe in you, but you are right. There is a lot to balance. And also I know that he's going to get a chance. I think he's in the period, he knows this, I've fed this back. He's in the period of his career where he's made the next step. So is he going to be really clinical? If he is, that will accelerate that step in from being a college, draft, tried in Germany, came to MLS. If he wants to be established, he has to be clinical. And, he can only do his talking with his goals. He had one chance in the game and he took it. And I love working with him because he is so enthusiastic, so determined, so driven. He works so hard. He's the last guy off the training field. And I'm a believer that the game pays back when you're that character.
And the reason it's pretty interesting, right? First of all, you like the fact that Nick Cushing will talk about anything with a player, which might be more the modern approach for a coach, but not every coach is completely open like that. And that Gabe Siegel would wait 90 minutes to have this conversation, so you can see how important it was to him. But the reason we're focusing so much on Gabe Siegel, he scores the goal. He's a striker. He's literally the only true striker in the program. Tyler Magno has had his time there, and it hasn't gone particularly well. And the reason we're bringing it up a lot, we know that New York City's in the market for a striker. That's been well documented. But 18 goals for, which is 22nd in Major League Soccer, a team that traditionally, at least in recent times, has been much more fruitful in front of goal.
Yeah, we don't need to tell Nick Cushing, we don't need to tell the players. It's not good enough. It's impossible to win games of football when you score so few, or it's impossible to win more games than you lose when you score so few. We only need to look against, Atlanta United sat down there or training down below us right now, warming up, I should say. They've scored 17 more goals, nearly double the amount of goals that NYCFC has scored. Tells you all you need to know. They're a free-flowing, high-scoring outfit, and NYCFC are the complete antithesis right now. 18 goals for NYCFC, 35 goals for Atlanta United, who they're playing against. That tells you all you need to know. Yes, Atlanta United have also conceded the second most amount of goals, apart from Charlotte FC, who've conceded 33 in the whole of MLS. But when you score that many, it's almost like the old Newcastle team that Kevin Keegan used to manage, where he was always confident his team would score more goals than the opposition. They won a bunch of games 4-3 and 3-2 and 5-3. And yes, it makes for excitement. It's not always that exciting for fans to see that many goals when they're being scored against you. But as a body of work, if you score more goals than the opposition, you're more likely to win games. And NYCFC scored 18, conceded 23. So therein lies the problem.
Atlanta's second in MLS with those 35 goals. Two teams that like to keep the ball, Matty. Atlanta third in the league with a 56.4 possession. And New York City fifth in the league, 54.9. New York City coming out with a lineup which has Ledesma. Richie Ledesma, we thought he might get a shot to play at RSL just because he was part of the RSL Academy. But I think for sentimental reasons, that's not why you play a player, you know, and you're looking to get a result. And that's not how you operate as a coach. Or although unless you get a feel that this could somehow ignite something. But Ledesma hasn't played the last two games. He's starting in place of Magno. So Tylus Magno hasn't scored a goal since April. He's got 3 goals to lead the way. To be second on the team. Santi Rodriguez, who is the co-leader with 4 goals, hasn't scored since early May. So, we focused on Gabe Siegel.
Yeah.
He only has 2 goals, and he's had other opportunities. Like Nick said, he's got to complete his chances because he's going to get one. And we could well see Gabe Siegel again today in the latter stages of the game again.
Yeah, look, it's not just number 9s need to be clinical. It's forwards, attacking players,
Right.
whether that's attacking midfielders, whether it's wingers, whatever it needs to be. They have to be clinical in front of goal. And I'm not sure there's a single player on NYCFC's roster right now that is clinical enough. I think that's pretty obvious when you've only scored 18 goals from the amount of games they've played. We talk about Gabe Siegel. I think he's done well considering where he's come from and what's been expected of him, even though he's only scored 2 goals. But on the flip side, in contrast, Tylus Magno, we know the ability he has. We know the amount of money he's getting paid. We know the amount of money that was paid for him. We know what high hopes the people of Brazil had for him at the national team level. And we know what high hopes we as broadcasters, let alone coaches and supporters, have on him. It'd be very, very easy for me to sit here right now, Glenn, and say he's been awful this season without going into some kind of in-depth analysis. He's been poor considering what we know of his ability.
Right. 3 goals, 1 assist, and 17 appearances for a guy who really, without Castellanos and without a striker added to the program in the preseason, he was the man to lead the front line, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And as I say, I will go on. If we had half an hour, I'd happily discuss Tylus Magno and what he's done for half an hour, because just he's awful. He's an analysis. But it is actually a decent description.
And he's 20 years old.
Seen.
How long do we?
Of course, he's 20
give him
years
the
old.
opportunity
But at this stage, Wayne Rooney had probably scored 50 goals in the Premier League by the time he was 20.
Right.
He scored his first when he was 16. Michael Owen would have done as well. Robbie Fowler would have done too by the time they were 20. I know it's still young. I know you're still maturing as a player and as a human. And he's come into a different country, different language, obviously, different style of play, different physicality to the league to what he was used to. But when do you not give up on somebody, but when do you say he's now an experienced player? He's been a professional footballer for 4 years, I would imagine. I don't know exactly when he signed his pro forms back in Brazil, but it's been a while, and you need to see some kind of return for the money outlaid.
Ledesma, who's in for him, has yet to score. He's hit the post twice, but he also has recorded 4 assists in limited play, which leads the team. And that brings you to Santi Rodriguez, who was the game-winning assist leader in MLS last year with 8, had 3 assists during the playoffs, 13 assists in the regular season. And, the Santi Rodriguez, you could see his value, but he also hasn't really provided what Maxim Morales did, which is one of the reasons I know they brought him back as a designated player. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists coming to this. This will be his 16th start and 18 appearance. So there's a lot to it, and I don't think there's a magic wand. Maybe there is magic in this building, and I don't think if New York City could score 2 or 3, that necessarily ends the goal-scoring drought. There's got to be some sort of consistency.
Of course not. They could win the game 4-0 here, and it doesn't mean anything in terms of longevity and the ability to score goals over a time frame, because just in one game isn't good enough. But look, that would be one hell of a start, Glenn. For us, we've been calling out for it. And it would mean if you score 3 or 4 goals, it means, for me, you're going to win the game.
Yeah.
So that is what, not we, but that is what the team down there and the coaching staff, that's what they're striving for. That win. And sometimes you need a little bit of luck. They got a little bit of luck with the Gabe Siegel goal in the last few minutes of additional time. Without the ricochet and then the deflection. So it's a lot of luck.
Right.
But you're right. That it's nice for sentimental reasons, and we remember back to that. I remember we were sat pretty much right here, and we watched that, and it's the goal closest to us, wasn't it? That Goody free kick. For sentimental reasons, let's hope.
I don't have it zoomed in on that goal. So you're seeing the far goal to the left. It's the one below to the right that you can't see there in the frame. And New York City's had success on the road against Atlanta in terms of results. 1 win, 2 losses, and 2 draws. So, and Atlanta has not beaten New York City since August of 2019, and that includes a playoff loss in that 2021 run for New York City.
Atlanta United here at home at Mercedes Benz Stadium haven't been as good as we've seen them in recent years. Certainly not the 2018 team that won MLS Cup. Look, in the last 10 games, their only 3 home wins have come against DC United, 8th in the conference, against Colorado, bottom of the Western Conference, and against Chicago, 14 out of 15 in Eastern Conference. So it's not as though they're beating all comers here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
But they've only lost 1.
But they have only lost
9
1.
matches.
They have. Precisely. They draw games, and what they do, what gives you an opportunity, is they concede goals, and they concede multiple goals. In their last 10 games, they've conceded 17 goals. 1.7 goals per game they've conceded and scored 19. So it's 1.9 against 1.7. That's just in their last 10 games. So it is quite remarkable how many goals they score, but also how many they concede.
28 in MLS. That's out of 29 teams. It's 29, right? Or is
yes,
it 30?
Correct.
No, 30 is coming up.
29.
Yeah, 29 teams. 28 in goals conceded this season for Atlanta United. Well, that's what we're in for. Yeah. Very young average ages. Just very quickly, Matty, as we wrap up, the average age for Atlanta United with Brad Guzan and without him. Guzan is 38 years old. Go.
Yeah. Outfield players, just outfield players, 22.4 years of age. With Guzan, 23.8 years of age. And even NYCFC, outfield players, 24.6. Had Luis Peraza, 24.7. We've got a development side here almost. This is what, you strive for. These are young guys out there, and we want to see what they can do. Can they handle the pressure?
All right. NYCFC.com/radio. That's the New York City FC network. Also the NYCFC app and the TuneIn app. And you sync us up by freezing your video at kickoff and then wait for us to catch up and then hit play. And it's all good, man. It's all good. Live commentary. Myself and Matty Lawrence. Matty, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. 7:15. So just about 7 minutes, 6 or 7 minutes away for the pregame show live with another good interview with Nick Cushing. These are difficult times. I'm telling you, I was at training on Thursday. The atmosphere was electric. There was laughter. They're still in good spirits, but how much longer can they avoid having things impact them in a more negative way? But the coaching staff has done a fantastic job up to this point. Let's see if they could organize, along with the players, a more positive result and their first win on the road. Winless in 9 games on the road this year, 2 for New York City FC. So let's see if it's in the cards here at their favored Mercedes Benz Stadium. I'm Glenn Crooks for Matty Lawrence. Enjoy the game, everybody.